Well, hello, my lovelies. It's Murky Meg here. It's Tuesday, the 30th of November, and please excuse my absence. I really do apologise, but unfortunately, life has got in the way a little bit. But I'm going to try and put out as much content as I can at the moment. I have a lot of stresses going on, out of my control. So just please bear with me. Anyway, today I'm going to be discussing a book that is coming out today that is titled Brothers and Wives Inside the Private Lives of William, Kate, Harry and Meghan by Christopher Andersen. And it makes quite a bombshell of an accusation. Now, cast your minds back if we can. I'm sure we can all wish to forget it, but we all remember it. The Oprah interview where Meghan herself says that there were several conversations about Archie's skin tone. Now, I've said this in multiple videos. I've had conversations with couples and families from biracial families, and the majority of them said, well, we've had those same conversations too. It's part and parcel of the fun. In fact, non-biracial families have a very similar conversation. I know it's not the same, and not the content is the same, but you guess what skin tone is going to be. Is it going to be fair like dad or dark like mum? Olive skin like mum? Is it going to have your hair, curly hair, straight hair, blonde hair, red hair, blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes? It is a normal guessing game for any family, and for most parts it's a fun game. Unfortunately, Meghan, being the one that always likes to try and play the victim and pick a fight, that is what's claimed with the bullying allegations, with the investigation that's going on at the moment. Can you cast your mind back and remember that the aides had said, well, she was always wanting to play the victim and always wanting to be in the middle of a fight. Now, that's classic narcissistic behaviour, in my honest opinion. But Meghan didn't see it like that, did she? And she said that it was a conversation that was had and discussing the tone of Archie's skin and how black he was going to be. She took that as racist. When Harry spoke, you could see he got very defensive, almost uncomfortable, and refused to discuss it. I could anyway, tell that he was either angry about it or distressed and uncomfortable that he didn't want to talk about it, and he refused to name the names. But by putting a name out there, what they effectively did was made everything a guessing game, and the world media went crazy, didn't it? And everybody was guessing who it was, and it could have very well have been a very innocent guessing game that the majority of couples have. But of course, offence was taken. Now, this book claims that Prince Charles asked his wife Camilla, I wonder what the children will look like on the morning the couple's engagement was officially announced, which was the 27th of November 2017. The source that spoke to the author claimed that Camilla seemed somewhat taken aback by the question and said, well, absolutely gorgeous, I'm certain. Prince Charles reportedly then added, I mean, what do you think their children's complexion might be? So this book is claiming that Charles is the so-called royal racist. And I call BS on that completely, because I don't think that conversation was ever had. That really sounds so out of line to me. And whoever would be privy to that conversation wouldn't really be talking to this author. I think this is hogwash, to be perfectly honest. And if it is true, very, very doubtful, could it be said as just an innocent, normal conversation? Andersen himself told the Daily Beast that my sources are rock solid and they have helped me unravel the mystery of which royal Harry and Meghan were talking about when they said that a member of the family had brought up the issue of how light or dark their children might turn out to be, and that there were concerns about what that would mean for the monarchy. He says that I was able to trace the origins of the controversy back to Charles casually asking Camilla what she thought Harry and Meghan's children might look like. Andersen himself has said the remarks were the innocent musings of a grandfather that were twisted over time by palace operatives into something far more racially charged and toxic. So by the time it reached Harry and Meghan, he was shocked at what he was hearing. When Harry complained to his father, Charles suggested he was being oversensitive. Now, interestingly, what's happened is that the author has covered his arse from not getting sued, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. He doesn't actually say the Prince of Wales is the unnamed royal who Harry and Meghan accused of racism during their Oprah Winfrey show. He alleges that the reportedly innocent question from Prince Charles was blown out of proportion by a group of courtiers known as the Men in Grey, who relished in putting a racist spin on it. The book also claims that Harry was told he was being overly sensitive when he raised the matter to his father, and that his brother, Prince William, said the comment was tactless but not a sign of racism. Do you honestly think that this is believable? Because I don't. I don't believe it one bit. Now, when it was reported in the Daily Mail, it was the second top comment, and I'm going to read it to you. It says, "I'm from a mixed heritage background, so I can speak from experience, and I will tell you this. We have always talked about our children's colouring. It is a normal, natural thing to talk about, and not connected to anything sinister. I feel incredibly sorry for Prince Charles, who has always championed the disadvantaged." And let's not forget that he was the one that stepped in on their wedding day and walked Meghan down the aisle looking proud as punch. He really, really did. It's a far cry from what was claimed on the Oprah Winfrey show, isn't it? And it all boils down to, did this conversation actually happen in a way that it was implied by Meghan and Harry, or did it happen and it was just one of those conversations that majority of biracial mixed families have? And why on earth did the courtiers, if it did happen, why on earth did they then put a racial spin on it? I don't believe it one bit. I think it got blown out of proportion, got a nose out of joint, and it was just another thing to complain about and to use against the royal family, because this is evident. I'm sorry, but she is on an absolute trajectory to destroy, belittle, manipulate the royal family and to make it seem like they were the enemy and she was the victim. Like I've said before, 101 narcissistic traits. Unbelievable. Now, that comment that I referenced from the Daily Mail also had some replies, and the majority of them agreed with them. It says, "I agree, I too am mixed heritage, and my parents both wondered when Mum got pregnant which one of them I would take after. Hair, eyes, skin tone. Why is it seen as racist? Markle making something out of nothing, and I do not believe for one moment that Prince Charles, a man who is deeply respectful of other cultures and religions, and who meets people from all over the globe all the time, is anything like a racist." And that is a beautiful point. Out of everybody, he is a shining example of how we should be. He appreciates all cultures. Now, of course, this has got some massive publicity throughout the world, and Buckingham Palace aides have slapped back and said that it's complete fictional. They say that Prince Charles' aides deny claim in new book that he was the royal racist who questions what skin colour Harry and Meghan's children would have on the day they announced their engagement. And a comment directly from Clarence House says that allegations made in Brothers and Wives inside the private lives of William, Kate, Harry and Meghan are fiction and not worth further comment. It's claimed that it was in fact a well-placed source who contributed to Christopher Andersen's new book. Now, it doesn't say where this well-placed source is from. What's your betting? Is it from the royal family, or do you think it's from the Sussex side? Take your bets, ladies and gentlemen. Or is it all bets are off? Because I know exactly where I think the whispers are from, and it ain't from the UK. Now, The Sun had an insider tell them that the claims are utterly ridiculous, that there is more of a concern that commenting on it will simply sell more books than actually damage Charles's reputation. And I think that is the case. I think the only way to deal with this is through litigation. Buckingham Palace have said that we don't comment on books of this kind, as to do so risks giving some form of authority or credibility. Mr. Andersen does hint in the book that Charles's alleged comments on November the 27th were made innocently, but you can't claim that it was Charles spill the beans and then go, well, it was an innocent comment, because the damage is already done. But quite frankly, the damage was already done during the Oprah Winfrey show. This has just kind of opened up even more of Pandora's box, hasn't it? But page 6 said the author, who has also written 18 New York Times bestsellers, suggests that it was the scheming courtiers had given Charles's words that racist spin. Page 6 says that they had reached toxic proportions by the time Harry and Meghan were informed. The author also claims that the decision by the Queen to move a portrait of Harry and Meghan and Archie off camera before her 2019 Christmas address sparked a major rift, and that was the beginning of Mexit. I'm sorry, Harry, I know you don't like that word, but it is Mexit. It's a genius combination. And according to you, it's misogynistic, but now, when it was originally said on Oprah, everybody said, well, they can't name who it is because they'll get sued. Well, this book has named it, although I haven't actually outrightly said it was Charles. They've implied it was Charles, but the implication is there very, very clearly. And it seems that Prince Charles has called his lawyers over the claim that he is the royal racist mentioned in Oprah Winfrey's interview. But where this litigation is aimed is a little bit dicey. Nobody really seems to know whether it's regards to the book mentioning Charles or whether it's regards to Harry and Meghan mentioning that this conversation happened. I am led to believe that it's being aimed at Mr. Andersen himself. So I would like to know on your thoughts on this. Are you like me and thinking that this is a perfectly innocent conversation that has been twisted, but by who? Has it been twisted in the halls of Buckingham Palace itself by the spiteful courtiers, as they are called? Or do you think that it got back to Harry and Meghan? How? God only knows, really. And they blew their tops. It was just one of those things that added to the annoyance and the frustrations for Harry and Meghan, and the fact that they'd heard this comment and they themselves blew it out of proportion. Secondly, do you want me to read the book and review it? I think most of it has actually been detailed. I think that's probably the only really juicy bit about it. Because I will, if you want me to, I will step up to the challenge, if I must, of course. And thirdly, do you think Charles has a right to seek legal action against the author of this book? Even though he's tried to cover his back, it is all over the world right now. And the timing couldn't be more disastrous, because obviously Charles is right now in Barbados handing over its royal rule to the country who have come out of the Commonwealth. I mean, he even stood there in Barbados and said that he formally acknowledged the appalling atrocity of slavery in the Caribbean, saying that it forever stains our history. I mean, I for one have always strongly believed that Prince Charles is one of the most diverse people within the royal family there is. He's so inclusive. And to state this, I think, is really rather vindictive and malicious. And finally, fourthly, who do you think spoke to Mr. Andersen? Because, in his words, it was a well-placed insider. Who could it be? Inside where? Which camp? Which do you believe? Was it Camp Royal Family, or was it Camp American Royalty? Because let's face it, that's what they really, really want. To be perfectly honest, I think Harry should be deeply ashamed of his behaviour. I really, really do. I think everything he's put his grandmother through and his father through over the past year is disgusting, and he really should hang his head in shame. As always, I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.